Hey everybody, it's been another few days of getting some stuff done here and there on the car. My girlfriend got me a GoPro and I'm trying to do some more videos of while I'm working and trying to take them while I'm working. So I'm going to try and utilize like the head strap thing they have. I might try the chest cam, but for now I just took a bunch of clips of the GoPro sitting on tripod in various areas and doing some different things. So over the last few days, the battery terminal wires have come in, and you'll see clips of all this throughout. So I got that taken care of for the battery, and the rest of the fuel pressure regulator lines have been made, and I also got the battery terminal hooked up here, the battery post. So that's all taken care of. I tested with a voltmeter to check good power coming up to the post, and it's great. Key the car on. I did have to jump the AOD neutral safety switch wiring that's under the car. I actually have to make a little plug-in connector for that, or solder the two wires together. It's pins 3 and so it's a 4-pin connector, and it looks kind of like this, and then these two come down here like this, and it's pins 3 and 4 that need crossed or put together, and that fools it into thinking that it is in park or neutral, and when you hit the key, it'll actually trigger the S-wire. So that is working. That's all done. I got the starter wire taken care of. You'll see clips of that. And then today I came out and finished up the fuel pressure regulator and tightened everything up. So we have -6 lines everywhere. And I got a 0 to 15 PSI gauge to put on the front of this. And this is probably going to be upside down. And then this is the feed and return. I went ahead and I bent up the 3/8 fuel line right here, and I got the tube to AN fittings all on here and taken care of. And then for now I have everything just zip tied in place where it needs to be before I can make more little straps or rubber padded straps to hold it down. I'm gonna need some bigger ones. So for now it's just under the car that way, and it just comes down through and is zip tied and comes back over here. I'm just kind of chilling. So that came out pretty good. So now all I really need to do yet to finish the fuel is I'm going to drain this tank, drop the tank. I need to pull out the sending unit and the 1/4-inch return line. I need to drill that out and either put a bulkhead fitting or I might carefully clean and weld in a 90 or a bend and put an AN fitting right on the end for right there. So really that's the last big piece of it yet. Now that I got the front half of the fuel lines done and the pressure regulator, and I'll put the fender back on once I know that everything's tight and nothing's leaking. So there we go, and now you will get to watch a whole conglomeration of different clips on how I made everything work today, or got everything to the point that it is today, and how to use some different tools and stuff. And I'll try and get some more work done on it this week and get more videos. Thanks. Hello again. It is now Thursday night. I just posted the other video last night, so it's the next day. A few more things have shown up. These are the plugs that go into the fans, the F-body fans. So I got 2 of those because there's 2 motors on it. And I got a 4-post marine quality battery post. And what I think I'm gonna do is, because this is 4, is I'm going to, and I'll show you this when I do it, I'm gonna cut it down to 2 posts. So there's a common rail piece of metal here that I'm gonna cut right here after the 2nd post. And then I'll knock out this stud and drill this and just make this a 2-post so it's not so big. And then whenever it's down to size, I'll see where exactly I want to put it. If I want to put it like here, or if I want to put it down here, and it'll be 2-post. I could probably even put it over here like this when it's cut down to the right size. So that's the battery terminals, or battery post, positive post, and fan. I ordered a couple more of these -6 straight hose to -6 for this. That'll be for finishing both the fuel line and should be enough for putting the transcooler in. So I have to do those. And I've started pulling, I got the fender off, and the more I rip into this thing, the more I see what was done under it. The fender is actually held onto the front nose cone with blown through with a bunch of self-tapping, big old nasty self-tappers. So that might be a pain in the ass to get it lined back up right. The brake lines are pinched off and cut off, so I'm gonna have to remake brake lines. It looks like someone has gone through these fuel lines at some point before, because every freaking one of the hold downs for the fuel lines is a different fitting. It's an Allen or a flat blade or a Phillips or a bolt, or there's a stud under it, which the stud's going to be factory and has a nut on it, but the flat blade, the screw, and the Phillips and the self tappers are clearly evidence that someone's been through here before. Anyway, I'm gonna crawl under here and do all of the fuel lines, the whole length of the car back. My goal is to try and pull this return line out, the 1/4 inch return line, in one big piece, and then I can lay it on the floor and bend it up, bend the 3/8 hard line that I have here in the exact same shape. And then I can either use the padded clamps that I used for the battery cable coming up, or I can see if I can get 2 3/8 lines to fit over in the factory hanger loops. So that's where I'm starting tonight. We'll see what we get done and see what other stuff I run into that's going to be a pain in the ass. The battery terminals should be here tomorrow. I might tonight get the alternator hung back up and show you the extender stud, but it's already getting kind of late. I don't get home from work until about 5:30 or so, and by the time I change, get out here, try and shove something in there, eat quick, it's 6:15, and then I only have a couple hours to work. So, but we'll see what we can get done, and I'll grab some more clips. Alright, so I got all the fittings, or all the clamps undone down through here, and cut the 1/4 inch tubing out. I also cut the factory 5/16 back there here to where it's straight up and points up, because what I'm going to do is bring this will hang up here, and I'm actually just going to put the AN fitting on the end here, and then it just goes through this hole right here. So that's easy enough. So the 1/4 inch I'm going to put in 2 pieces so it can be serviceable. I'll just put a union fitting in it. So this is the shape I need to make, and I have this big old roll. So actually the easiest way to get this to unroll is a trick, is you just place it. It's going to be kind of hard to film this at the same time. You just place this on the ground and you force it straight up and down into the ground as you roll this out. And as you force it down and roll it out, it'll come out straight, or straighter. So what I'm going to do now is use the string method on this. I see about how long of a piece I need. All you do is you just take a piece of string, which I have to find some, start it here and follow the bend with the string, and then add a little bit of length to that final measurement that you get for the string, and you can cut it out of this, and it makes it easier to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and try and get the length cut out, and I'll start getting this bent up. Alright, one of the most infuriating things in the world for me is trying to bend hardline and make it work. I tried to use this factory line as a guide. However, I wasn't really having a whole lot of luck, so I kind of just crawled under there and bent it as I went. And it does fit. It fits up in there. It should go back up in the clip. So I'll continue and grab some more clips as I go here. I am going to go ahead and mount this section a while and try and form it as I can, if I can get it to suck up against the body some more. Under the car here and trying to get the starter wired up, and right now the starter is just hanging down free and kind of trapped between this header and the oil pan. So what I'm going to use is the little piece I made as I smack the camera into things. This here, to screw onto this stud, I just tap this to the correct thread And then this is gonna go on here, like this. This is kind of difficult to do since I don't have much room under here. And now at this point, I can take the cable, once this is up in place, because this actually sits up on top. So the cable, battery cable can come straight down now. And I'm using this really big 2-aught cable for the starter wire. So this will go on here, I'll put a washer on here, and then this will be able to hang this way. I can't use it the other way with the short one because it wants to kick the cable over this way and there's no room with the header in the way here. So we'll use that. I'll tighten that up on there. I can also adjust how far this comes out by screwing out the nut that's under it or stacking another nut. I might stack another nut, or I'll use this as a jam nut and bring this out. Bring this out a good bit. I want at least probably the depth of the post in the adapter here. And now when I tighten this up and I can jam it against that nut, now it really sticks out. So I'll wrap some electrical tape just to be safe around the end of that cable. And that will solve that. And then for the, oh, motor going by outside. For the other side, the S-wire, I'm gonna extend the factory Fox one. And I'm actually going to be putting a bullet connector. I have this here, made this little guy, this little jumper. So this is gonna go on this post here. And of course I might have to open this up because that's how this goes. And then this is gonna go down on here, and then a bullet connector. So if you need to drop the starter, you can undo the S-wire and undo the positive wire and it'll be easy peasy. All right, so I'll get this done. Got my extension stud here mounted. I also put some heat shrink tubing over it, and then I modified my wire here, put a different end on it, crimped it nice and tight, and then covered it in a heat shrink tube so I don't have any incidents. So now I'll get the cable on there and I'll wrestle this up in place with the header on, get the wire brought over, and I'll also route the S terminal, so I gotta get some zip ties. Okay, so here's the last of this bolted up, and I got the crank position sensor in too. So I don't know if we're gonna be able to see because of the light up behind it, but there's a stud sticking out right here, and we probably can't see it because of the light. But as you can see, this puts it out back here so that I can rotate this positive cable over here and out of the way of the heat. Otherwise it would have been up top and very difficult to get to. And then my S-wire terminal connector is right here, stuck behind the motor mount, is dangling right here. So all I got to do is plug into it. Yep, right there. And then I have my S-wire. There, the cables are all done and tidied up, and I just have them zipped to the cross member. It comes down across the cross member, up the motor mount bracket here, and then I'm gonna take it up and tie it up over here to the inner fender. So now we're at the point that I need to mount and get all the power on the posts together so I can test everything. So we're gonna convert this from a 4-post down to a 2-post, make it smaller. And as you can see, the spacing between these and the mounting holes are the same. So what I'm gonna do is whip this off right down here after this 3rd stud, undo the stud out of here, drill a hole through here so it'll be a mounting point here and here, and then I'll just cut this down to appropriate size. Actually, I might even be able to cut it. I'll see how I have to cut it to make it fit, but that's what we're gonna do. Oh, yep. So this one's gonna be the one to come out. And I think actually, if I undo all these, I can just pull that stud out. Let's see if that's how it's made. Da-da. Probably have to do all these little guys too. Yeah, so I'll see how it comes apart and show you how I'm gonna cut it. Get this apart. Feels like it's gonna get loose. Yep. Okay. So we'll take this plate off, and actually what we're going to do is, we're going to do a Sharpie, is we're going to mount, or cut it. Let's see here. So I don't want the metal going beyond into my mounting area. So we're going to cut this off about here, and then we're going to cut the plastic down here. Like that. We'll get rid of these, we won't have these, and then we're going to drill a hole right there. So this pulls up, these come out, and then I'll go ahead to getting and cutting. And the center. Okay. Looks pretty good. Now I just got to cut the metal piece. Washers, lock washer. Alright, that works. Now all we got to do is modify the top. I think what we'll do is we'll just cut it off wherever I put my Sharpie. I think what we'll end up doing is cutting it. Well, actually what we could do, yeah, we'll just cut it here. And I'll square that up on the sander. Alright. Okay, so here we go. That came out pretty good. I'm happy with that. So I got it down to 2 posts. It's a lot more manageable to put it in the car somewhere. Cut the cover down to be 2 bays, 2 posts. I still have melted plastic on here that I have to get off. And I like the way this turned out because I can put this on here. I can put the nut on. And then what I can do is I can mount this in the car and then bring the cables up through the bottom into this cavity here and have them come out like that. So now I'll go find a place, drill some holes, and get it mounted. Alright, what are the odds of that? Here are all the existing holes in the strut tower, and they line up perfectly. I couldn't have done that any better if I measured. They are perfect. Okay, well, the trimming of this didn't go exactly as I wanted it to. These don't sit down flush since they're the 2-aught cable ends and they're huge, but I just trimmed it to make it fit so this sits down nice. So I'm gonna leave these loose for now because I might need to take them off to do the master cylinder right here if they're gonna be in the way, and then I'll tie them out of the way of the headers and everything. So next step here is, this is the factory S wire that comes from the ignition cylinder. And needs to get jumped down to the wire that we ran into the back on the S terminal of the starter, because we are getting rid of the factory Ford starter solenoid here. Theirs is up on the fender that sits right over here. So these wires are actually going to go in the car, or this powers the harness in the car, and then I need to ground it out here. I'll hook up ground. This cable's going to go away and the starter solenoid goes away. And then this other one here I think also powers either the lights or something in the harness. So I'm going to put these two on this top post right here, get rid of this, get rid of the starter solenoid and put ground, and then we will hook up the battery and see if the starter's working. That turned out pretty decent. I did have to use a file and carefully open these factory power wires, and I did need to trim this a little more on the top to clearance this relay, built-in relay thing on this one. So the accessories are going on the top, starter and battery are down on the bottom. S wire is completed. I just need to zip tie everything and make it nice once I get the master cylinder in over here. Don't have to worry about that. The starter, Ford solenoid, starter solenoid I can get rid of. So all I need to do real quick before I do some testing is find a good ground for this. I think the factory ground is actually over here somewhere. So I'll find a good hole to put this in and clean it up. It might have been one of these over here. So I'll find a good one that looks decent, and then we'll see if it cranks. Back at it. So this is the piece of 3/8 return line that I have bent up so far that goes back to about the back axle. So I bought this kit, tool flaring kit, and it is so nice and works so well, but I'll show you how to use it here in a second. So it's a hydraulic flaring kit. So it has the main piece here. You pick the dies for whatever size line you're bending, use the anvil here, and then so this will put the single flare to it, and then you use the cone for the double flare. I did buy the extension set, or the addition set for AN stuff, because they actually need a 37-degree taper on these double flare, and I think the stock is 42 degrees. Is that what it is? 45 degrees. So since I'm putting these fittings on, where are they? One of these on for the 3/8 line, it doesn't actually need the AN bevel on it, since it's just a straight thread for pipe to AN. So I'll just use the 3/8 one, this one, the 3/8 anvil, and put a regular flare here on it, and I'll show you how that works here in a second. So first you do have to clear the this coating and paint that comes on these metal lines. So I'm going to sand that down, put the pieces on, then I'll give you show you how it works. Get this sanded down. I might actually go throw it on the belt sander, because this might take a little bit. This stuff's kind of thick. We're gonna need to give something a little more oomph than crappy 80 grit sandpaper that I'm using. It might come off. Nice smooth. Coating gone. I'm gonna remove the burr with the deburring tool. Okay, gets rid of that. Stick it in the tool. Take this guy. We're gonna undo this out. And you just hold and unloosen the valve here. And then this screws out. Okay, and then we're doing 3/8, so we need the 3/8 dies. And you just put the tube in till it's level with this top surface, and there's actually a little leveling piece in here as well. You get them in and you push this, and then you push the tube till it meets this, and that's the end. So you get these guys on there. This might be a little tricky. take it down. I'll try and do it all pinching it. So we're going to put these level. Okay. Actually try and pinch. It has little teeth to try and help you hold everything. And then this goes in the tool with these indents like this. And then you push this down. Do everything here in front of a camera. It's a little tricky. Okay. And then just because this is a little difficult to do, I'm going to wind this in. Make sure the tube's bottomed against this stopper piece. Tighten this up. Gotta make sure it's good and tight. Okay. Now you can take this off. And if I can get this in a good camera angle. So at this point, we are going to put in the 3/8 here. So this is 3/8. That goes in like that. And we're going to wind this in. And you'll see that that's going to go right into the tubing there. And just keep spinning this in until it bottoms. And now you tighten up your valve. Give this a few squeezes until you feel it stop. And if you get it hard, which is right there, release the valve. Screw this back out. Make sure the tube didn't move. It didn't. Smacking everything with this long piece of pipe on there. A tube. And now we are going to pop this one out. You can see in there it pressed it into the die. We're going to take the pointy one, the cone. Do the same thing with the cone. And you're going to quickly realize to not forget what I did, the biggest mistake that I have just made, and we have to cut this off and redo, is don't forget to put your fittings on the tube. So, I'll finish making this one though, just so you can see it. It's a good thing I have a little extra on the end there. And you will see that this creates a perfect flare. Alright, well I'm going to cut this off and then repeat the exact same steps with the fittings on this time. Here's how, now that I got that cut off, here's how this is a 3-piece, I'll put this over here. This is a 3-piece fitting adapter that converts from the tube to an AN end. And it uses a little compression sleeve that slips in here. So when you do this the correct way, and don't forget the fittings, you put the tube nut on this way. And this slides on as well. Now we're going to go through the exact same steps as last time we put a flare on there. Alright, just like that, we have converted tube to AN. Got it real nice and tight, real tight, nice and snug. Of course you should pressure test these, but I'll throw them in the car and make sure they don't leak. And then this will accept any standard AN fitting -6 that you want to throw on it. So whichever way you need to go with it, and go from there. Do we know what time it is? I do. It's time to deal with more of this horrible Amazon. I mean, it works, it's perfectly fine, but a pain to work with. I mean, I tape them up real tight and I cut them quick with an angle grinder, but now I'm gonna shove this in here. And I gotta do the other side too. So that concludes all the clips that I had taken of the car. So now, again, I've gone over everything at this point. I'll get some more work done this week, and I will have another video up for you shortly. Have a good one.